Welcome back to New York Sports MC. We're going to hop right back into our offseason series here. We're going to go over the wide receiver and tight ends position today. Let's start with the wide receivers, where this is going to be one of the most interesting positions to watch for the Jets, as well as it could look very much the same as last year, or it could look drastically different next year. Starting out with our key free agent and Robbie Anderson, and what should the Jets do with this? Kind of torn. I really am leaning towards the fact that we need to bring him back. I think Robbie showed some great signs last year. At the beginning of the season, I would have been all for letting him go at this point, especially with the amount of money that he's been saying he's looking to get. But he showed a lot this last year. Not only did he show that he could run some of those crossing routes and not just the go routes, but also showing that he can catch in traffic. One of my big issues with Robbie was the fact that he was very passive and would let the ball come to him, where DBs would kind of jump in front of him. And obviously, with his frame, you always worried would he be able to make those contested catches. And he showed us this year on several occasions that he can go up there and make those tough catches. He had the one in the end zone there towards the end of the season. He even had one middle of the season. I can't remember exactly who we were playing against, but a little bit of an underthrown ball by Darnold, where he climbed up the ladder and caught the ball over the defensive back. So definitely showing that he can make those tougher catches now as well. So I would really be for bringing Robbie back. I know he's looking to get as much money as possible. I would say as long as we stay within the 12 to $13 million range, I don't think it's going to be that horrible of a deal. If he did get $13 million per year, that would put him actually at 16th in the league, assuming obviously that Amari Cooper is going to get more than that, would put him at 16th in the league. So I think that's not bad. You look at it a year or two from now, some of these other receivers are going to get extensions, they're going to get more money, and it'll start to push him back down a little bit. So definitely think that that would be the top end, though. And at that point, you're really looking at, if you looked at my first offseason video where I said Quincy Enunwa was kind of a toss-up on should we keep him or cut him, because it wasn't a huge cap savings. I mean, if you're looking to pay Robbie 10 to 11 million, I'd say, and you don't want to go up to 13, I'd say just cut Quincy. The odds of us getting productivity for an extended period of time from him is looking slimmer and slimmer every single year. So cut him and use the extra few million there to keep Robbie. Not only has he shown us signs, but it also helps Sam Darnold with continuity at the wide receiver position. Also, we have to show that we're willing to keep somebody. I mean, that's huge. You look at these teams that have been successful, they keep the players that they develop. And we have not done that. I mean, I feel like when was the last time we gave somebody a contract extension and kept them? I know we gave Mo a contract extension, but then got rid of him shortly thereafter. So we need to show that we can develop talent for one, and that we're going to keep them when they do well. So I think that there would be a huge lift for the locker room as well, just showing that they're going to be dedicated to the people who really fight hard. I mean, I love what Robbie said after the trade deadline, how he was happy to be here. He also stated in the past that after some of his legal issues and the fact that the Jets didn't cut him when he was an undrafted guy who wasn't very proven, he said that he wanted to really prove the Jets right for believing in him and having faith in him. And I'm hoping that that helps us in getting him back. The fact that we did give him his opportunity and we did stick by him when he went through some troubles. I would say the thing that concerns me the most is going to be the fact that Matt Rule is now in the NFL. Robbie has made it openly clear that he has a strong connection with Matt Rule. He was his college coach at Temple. So that could be something where I can see him potentially going to be with Matt Rule again. But when we look at the receiver position, if we do miss out on Robbie and he does go somewhere else, we do have the draft. This is a very deep class of wide receivers. We can easily get a wide receiver at pick 11 if the offensive tackles go before we pick, or even in the second, maybe even third round. So I'm not too concerned about the wide receiver position, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'd even look at potentially taking a flyer. It'd have to be on a pretty good deal on Funches. I think Funches is a big-bodied receiver, could be a very nice red zone target for Darnold. And I do want to address the fact that Jamal Adams has recently sent out a tweet in support of Dez Bryant and saying that he would love to play with Dez Bryant. I don't think I really want to kick those tires. I mean, he's been out of the league for 2 years now. I know he came back not this season that's ending now, but the season before. Didn't get to play because unfortunately with that Achilles injury. The only way I'm bringing him in is if it's a minimum contract, trying to use him as a red zone type threat where use him very sparingly, but I wouldn't be bringing him in, banking on him being this integral part of the offense. So, I'd say let's bring Robby back. $13 million is the max per year. Try to get him around that 10 to 12 though. Hopefully these other teams don't bid us up too high. And then I'd still even look at drafting one in the second or third round. I really don't want to pick one at 11. I know CeeDee Lamb, a lot of people like him a lot. They're saying he could be the next DeAndre Hopkins, and I would love a DeAndre Hopkins type on this team. That would do wonders for Sam Darnold. I just think that we really need to address this offensive line, and I'm just hoping that one of those top 3 tackles drops to us at pick 11, or Douglas gets a little aggressive and moves up to grab one of them. But that's how I see the wide receiver position going. I'd say keep Robby, bring him back, and then try to draft one in the second or third round. So now if we slide over to the tight end spot, I think we're pretty good here. Obviously, we brought in Ryan Griffin this past year. We did sign him to an extension, so he will be back. Unfortunately, he will miss the beginning parts of some of the summer and spring workouts as he will be recovering from that offseason surgery he had. Herndon should be back and ready to go. So I would just look to bring in one additional guy, especially with the fact that Griffin could be missing some time. You need to bring in some extra bodies. Whether you bring back Daniel Brown, who I think showed some signs as a receiving tight end. I really want to see Trayvon Westcott get a little more involved this year. I think that with his ability to block, and he showed some signs as a receiver that he's capable. He's never going to be a top-notch receiving tight end, but he's shown that he could be a pretty solid, balanced tight end. Love to see him get a little more time this off-season and potentially into the season. But like I said, maybe bring Brown back or just bring in another guy of that caliber. We're not talking a lot of money here, trying to bring in somebody on a minimum type contract just to compete and be an extra body in camp. So that's where I have us going at wide receiver and in the tight end position. Next up is going to be the all-important, and it's going to be the toughest one to fill, but that offensive line position, because if you guys caught me on Jets 24/7 talk, I mentioned we don't have a single long-term answer on the offensive line, and we can't replace the whole offensive line in one offseason, but we got to try to get at least some building blocks on that offensive line. So tune in for that one. Should be within the next few days coming out. But please, down in the comments, let me know what you guys think about the wide receiver tight end position. Should we pay Robby? Should we let him go? If you want him, how much would be your max on what you'd be willing to give him on a per year basis? And do you think we should go wide receiver at number 11? I'm not a big fan of it. I think we can get one in the second round. But love to hear what you guys think. And as always, Jet up.